Okay. All right. So today's talk is called Love and Money. Pretty straightforward. This is actually the fundamental core of our management system. And so to further expand on the topics from the intro, I'm just going to start just by telling you a story. Okay. So I was sitting down with a friend of mine the other day, and she's a small business owner. And she was telling me that she goes, "Friend, I am working so hard." I'm like, okay. And she goes, "But I don't feel like I'm making proportional progress for the amount of work I'm putting in. And I'm so conflicted because I started this business to make money to support my family. But I don't feel like I have enough time to spend with my family. And the time that I do give them, I feel like it's not even quality time because my mind is in such overwhelm." I stopped her. That word, overwhelm. I was very alarmed by this because she was describing to me a problem, but it wasn't a problem at all. See, overwhelm is a symptom of a problem. The underlying problem is a deadly condition. It's killed more small business owners than any other condition. And that is ineffective resource allocation. Okay. Wasting your precious limited resources, time and money, spinning your wheels, doing the wrong things in the wrong order. And that's what leads to failure and death. To kind of further illustrate this, I'm going to illustrate this problem using an analogy. And then I'm going to get into the solution. Okay. So here's the analogy. Imagine that building a company is just like building a building, right? It's construction. Okay. So you run out and you're like, all right, I'm going to build this building. And you know how to do one thing, like you're a plumber. So you're like, I know how to do plumbing. So I'm going to build this building. That's like the equivalent of saying, I know how to do marketing. So I'm going to build this building. Or I know how to do accounting. So I'm going to build this building. Like I had this one competency. So let's build this building. So, or whatever. So you run out there and you just start building, right? But you're not making a lot of progress, and you're getting a little frustrated because you notice your neighbor's building is going up a little faster than yours and you're confused. You're like, wait a second. So what do you do when you're confused? You go to the internet, seek help. Oh boy. You go on the internet to find some business help. Well, pretty quickly your mind turns into your internet browser, right? You got 19 tabs open, 3 of them are frozen. You have no idea where the music's coming from, right? Because everybody's yelling at you, right? The plumbers are like, you need to do plumbing. The electrical's like, you got to do electrical. The roofer's like, don't forget about the roof. The foundation guys are like, pour the foundation, right? You got accounting, you have finance, you have web development, you have product development, you have customer experience, you have marketing, you have sales, strategic partnerships, team development, compliance, right? Just every single thing is just coming at you and you're just in complete overwhelm. This is where overwhelm comes from. You're like, I don't exactly know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm more confused than when I started. And I'm just in information overload, right? And when you're not sure what to do, you just say, I'm just going to do as much as I possibly can because I'm not sure, right? And like we said before, this is setting your goal to be overworked, right? Now, your resources are spread too thin, right? So you're focused on too many things all at once. So your time is spread out. So now nothing's getting enough focus to actually work. And your money is super exposed because you're investing in all these different things. So now you're in a position where your cash flow is super exposed and none of your strategies are working because you're trying to do way too many things all at once, right? This is an incredibly dangerous position. All right. So let me quickly show you what this looks like, right? Remember before when we looked at this, right? So I'm going to show you, this is the bad, and I'm going to show you the good. Right? So when you're incredibly spread out, right? Again, we're just going to look at one number. Remember, we're going to be profitable in 7 months. So what happens is the small business owner, they get down here to like month 6, and then they hear someone else say, hey, you're supposed to be doing this, right? And they don't actually give this time to play out, right? Every strategy we implement has 3 phases. We invest in growth, we recover our investment, and then we get a return on our investment. Well, the average small business owner gets out here to about month 6. Here's some other guru on some stage telling them something to do. They weren't exactly sold on the first thing they were supposed to be doing, and it's not working. So then they abandon it, and they get in this vicious cycle of failure. And they just sit here. It's terrible. So how do we get out of here? That's the question. Let me show you. All right. Here's the answer. Right. So how do we know in what order we need to implement things? That's the question. And the answer is we implement strategies in order of cash flow. Okay, so let me give you an example. All right, we got a strategy here. Okay, this is strategy number 1. We're just going to call this strategy number 1. I don't want you to get overwhelmed by everything on this page. I just want you to notice one thing. Strategy 1, we are profitable in 7 months, and our return on investment is 179%. Okay, strategy 1, it's a marketing strategy. Okay, should we do this or should we not do this? Well, let's look at strategy 2. Okay, strategy 2 is a cross-selling strategy. This has us profitable in 4 months, and it has a return on investment of 346%, right? So the idea here is that if we're looking at these 2 strategies, right, we can objectively say, we're going to implement strategy 2 first. It has the fastest return on investment. Once that thing starts making us money, then we'll use that money to implement strategy 1. We're not going to try to implement all of the strategies all at once and put our cash into all of these things, because then our cash is going to be way too exposed and our time is going to be way too spread out. So let's put everything we got into strategy 2, get that thing making us money, and then we're going to use that money to implement strategy 1, right? We're not going to try to overexpand ourselves, right? So the idea here is we're creating organic growth. The first thing pays for the second thing, pays for the third thing, pays for the fourth thing. All right, so you're probably thinking, well, this is great if you're modeling. Now, if you come to our workshop, we're going to teach you how to model all your strategies. but if you don't, here's a shortcut, okay? This is something, after doing like 1,000 different models, I developed a shortcut. This is the shortcut. I call it the money tree. Let me get my face out of the way here. Okay, the money tree. Okay, organize your efforts in accordance with cash flow. Okay, that's what this is. Okay, there are 6 branches of the money tree, and every revenue growth strategy from every guru on every stage ever fits into one of these 6 branches of the money tree. Okay, anything that can make your company revenue. I said revenue, not business growth. Business growth is a lot more than revenue growth. This is focused on revenue growth. Business growth has legal, compliance, team building, all sorts of other things. This is just revenue growth, okay? So in revenue growth, we organize these things in accordance with cash flow. So what that means is we want to grab the lowest hanging fruit first, eat it, nourish our bodies, climb a little higher up the tree, grab that fruit, eat it, nourish our cash flow, climb a little higher up the tree, eat that fruit, nourish our cash flow, our bodies. So we go all the way up. If we try to climb straight for the top, right, with that, and just avoiding all of the fruit along the way, we're going to starve and we're going to die on our way to climb to the top. So what are these branches of the money tree? Okay, the first branch, the lowest hanging fruit in your business, is customer related strategies. Get your current money to stop leaving. hold on to your current money. That's the fastest money you can get, right? So this is all about referrals. This is all about retention, reviews, right? Customer experience, customer service, right? Love on your customers, right? Lowest hanging fruit is hold on to the money you already have. Get it to stop leaving, okay? Next, product. Sell more stuff to your current customers. Upselling, cross-selling, turn a one-time sale into a monthly reoccurring revenue. There's so many strategies that you can do here, right? You can create new products. You can make your current products better, right? Okay. Next is sales. Sales always makes money before marketing, okay? And this is anything a salesperson can do. I don't care if you're sending them to trade shows, or you're having them do networking or cold calling or speaking, right? Whatever kind of prospecting they're out there doing, right? Sales, right? After sales, strategic partnerships. Who has your customer and is not a direct competitor? How can you create a strategic partnership with them, right? I know so many companies that do nothing more than just do strategic partnerships, and they have multi-million-dollar companies. All they do is just nurture a couple of strategic partnerships, and that's it, right? Okay, so after strategic partnerships, advertising, all right? This is like the hype word right now, sales funnels or whatever, I don't care. It's just paid ads running into some sort of offer or conversion mechanism. I don't care if it's pay-per-click, direct mail, TV ads. Heck, it could be smoke signals for all I care, right? It's still just advertising. Last is branding, okay? This is brand development, making things pretty and clean, web development, building a nice fancy website, right? Organic content creation, right? You're creating blogs and videos for people to consume, right? This is search engine optimization, building a social media following, right? There's all sorts of things that go into branding or inbound marketing, right? So when you look at all of these different ways to make revenue in your company, what I want you to ask yourself is, how much of my time and money, my resources, how much of my resources am I putting into each one of these? What you might be thinking is, I'm putting a little too much of my resources into the top of the tree. I need to adjust to the lower parts of the tree to grab some of that low-hanging fruit so I don't starve on the way up the tree. Now, this is so often the case. And the reason for that, the thing that makes it so confusing for consumers, is that the people at the top of the tree are professionally loud. They're marketers. They are louder than everybody else. So when you go out there and you're trying to figure out what to do with your business, they're the loudest people. So you hear them. So oftentimes you go and you do the things that they want you to do because they are the loudest. They're the ones you hear, right? And that just makes it extra confusing. Okay. Okay. And I want you to understand that we practice what we preach. Okay. If you look us up online, there's a version 1. We're like a year, our nonprofit is a year old. We just threw up a version 1. Okay. Because branding is not a big priority for us. We're not worried about the paint. We're worried about the engine. Meaning we want to make sure our products and our customers are amazing. We are so focused on our customers right now and making sure that they are absolutely being served in every way possible. We're not as concerned about, painting the car. We want to make sure the engine in the car is good, right? Branding is kind of a priority too, right? So we just want you to understand that it's not about ignoring the things at the top of the tree. It's not about saying, you don't need a website. Yes, you need a website, but you need a website version 1. Throw something up and then move on, right? Move on to making money, right? So you got to really get comfortable with this concept, version 1. Throw up a social media, version 1. Throw up a website, version 1. Let's go make some cash, right? So this is all about doing the right things in the right order. But more than that, when you're building, when you're in construction mode, you also need the right tools, right? And there seems to be so many tools out there. Well, remember before when I told you there's a missing ingredient, right? Making a cake without sugar. Let me show you what that looks like in this analogy. Imagine building a building with a missing tool, okay? So there's 4 primary tools. There's a hammer, screwdriver, wrench, measuring tape. Now let's just leave out the measuring tape. What? How are you gonna build? You got a hammer but no measuring tape? This is really gonna create a really big problem, okay? So there are 4 types of tools that we're gonna be looking at, all right? And I'm gonna break them down for you in a way that I hope this will kind of make it a little bit more clear for you so you can kind of understand how all these tools fit together. All right, let me show you this. Okay, I'm going to move this. So this is our house that we're building. I'm going to keep the same analogy. It's not a great picture. It's not a great house, but whatever, it works. Okay, all right, so this is our house we're building. These are the 4 major areas that we need to be focused on, okay? So first of all, I want you to notice these are our 4 tools, or our 4 tool categories rather, okay? So first of all, there's low level. This is tactical level implementation, right? And then there's high level. This is strategy level, right? Guiding the ship, right? And then at each level, we have organization, and we have expertise. Okay, so let's first look at the tactical level. Tactical level, the expertise is done using a specialist. Whatever you're getting done, this could be a web developer, this could be someone making your logo, this could be your accountant, this could be your product development person, this could be, you know, whatever it is. This is a specialist doing a specialized job, right? That's the expertise. Now, the organization is done using a project management system, okay? We all know what a project management system is. It's a glorified to-do list. No, I'm kidding. But it's a lot of just activities and trying to organize all the tactical level activities to get a project done, right? Project management system, okay? Now, at the strategic level, expertise is done with a generalist. This is an advisor or a coach, or for me, because we're a nonprofit, I have a board of directors, amazing business strategists that help guide me in my direction and help give me amazing advice, right? And advice is so amazing. I mean, I'm just incredibly blessed to have some really, really amazing people to support me, right? But here's the missing ingredient, okay? The business management system, okay? Upper left-hand corner. This is the tool that is used to organize the business at a strategic level, all right? So, you know, having an advisor or a coach or whatever, this is amazing. And I have amazing people around me, but advice is the wrong solution to organize your business, right? This is temporary relief, right? Getting some advice to go do something, right? This is like, you know, getting a fish versus a fishing pole, right? And the worst thing that can happen is my friend, she went and hired one of these really fancy executive coaches, and it was like $40,000 or something, right? It took her 3 years after that coaching program ended for her to pay off that coaching program. Oh my gosh, I felt so bad for her. In the construction example, that's like going up to your construction site and someone saying, hey, you should build walls before you build a roof. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I paid you so much. I don't even have money to build the walls now. Crap, right? So the management system is the tool that removes overwhelm, all right? So what happens is the reason overwhelm happens is because people jump into the tactical level way too fast before getting organized at the strategic level. All right. And what that looks like when you actually look at the progression is it looks like this. Okay. So you can't effectively prioritize activities unless you have clear goals to prioritize against. And more important than that, the correct goals. Most companies I go into have the wrong goals set in the wrong order. Like they're chasing goal number 5 when they should be chasing goal number 1, right? And you can't have clear goals set unless you first understand what are the results that we're looking for, right? So a management system first asks you, what are the results we're looking for? Let's create clear goals to get us to those results. Now, what are all the strategies that we could implement to get to those goals? And now let's map those out to figure out what has the fastest return on investment. Okay, this strategy has the fastest return on investment. So now let's go into the tactical and figure out what does the tactical implementation look like? You see, a management system guides resource allocation balancing, important tasks versus urgent tasks, balancing goals versus fires and issues, right? Working on the business versus working in the business, strategy level versus tactical level. It is a structured framework to organize the strategic direction of your business. And it is the lead domino, because the more organized you are at the strategic level, the more effective your execution is at the tactical level, because you're working on the right things. And then the faster your growth. I'll tell you a quick story to kind of illustrate this. So I had a client that came in and I said, what have you been working on? What's going on in your business? She goes, well, year 1, we spent the first year building a website, and it was like $50,000. We have this really big, beautiful website. And I'm looking at them like, okay, that's what you did in year 1. And they're like, yeah. But then we had this website and we weren't making any money. And I said, makes sense. Yeah. And they're like, and we're upside down 50 grand. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, so what we did in year 2 was we saw this guru talking about building an automated sales funnel and how easy it was going to be. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And she said, but the problem is the actual process of building all the content that was actually involved in making this automated funnel took us the better part of our 2nd year in business. I'm like, okay, so you guys are about 2 years into business. The first year you built the website, the second year you're building an automated funnel. They're like, yeah. And I'm thinking about the money tree. I'm like, okay, so the first year they spent at the very top of the money tree in the sixth position. And then the second year they spent in the 5 position. Okay, so they're just sitting here at the top of the money tree. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, we're not making any money. I'm like, yes, I know, because you're trying to climb for the top of the money tree and you're not grabbing the low-hanging fruit first, right? And the thing that was really, really kind of frustrating for them, when I really looked at what they were doing, is they were automating constraints that they didn't even have, right? They were building like, oh my gosh, we have so many people at this point in our system. We can't possibly handle them all. We need to automate this to be able to handle all of these. No, there was nobody. They were literally automating for non-constraints, right? They were spending their precious resources, their time and their money fixing problems that they didn't even have, okay? And on top of that, the worst part was by the time they made it to me, they already had this thing online and they were running advertising at it and they were losing tons of money. And they were like, we don't understand why we're losing tons of money. I said, you never took the time to figure out your business model, okay? So what their business model looked like was this. Their average customer was worth $1,000, okay? But on their profit and loss, only 25% of their money was budgeted for sales and marketing. The rest needed to go into general, admin, cost of goods sold, profit, everything else that goes into a business. Only 25% of their funds go to sales and marketing, right? So what's 25% of 1,000? Well, it's $250. So I said, your customer acquisition budget is $250. But when we look at the sales funnel that you just built, and you look at how many clicks it takes to get people to this website, how many people to the website it takes to get one customer, and you backfit all of these conversion points and what your average cost per click is, right? And you actually do the math, your customer acquisition cost is $500 and your customer acquisition budget is $250. Your model doesn't work. You didn't even figure out your business model before you started just throwing money into the tactical level, right? That's why we have to figure out the strategic level before we jump into the tactical level. That's one of the other things we're going to be covering in this workshop. We're going to be diving into your business model, figuring all this stuff out, modeling out the 2-year cash flow projections to be able to figure out what we need to do. Okay. So this is all about, oh, by the way, we flipped them and had them start focusing on customer strategies, customer retention, customer service, flipping one-time products into monthly reoccurring revenue, right? Products and customer strategies. And then we flipped, and what I'm trying to remember. Yeah. So we flipped them from the top of the tree to the bottom of the tree, right? And in flipping from the top of the tree to the bottom of the tree, we had 87% revenue growth. Right? Let's just grab the low-hanging fruit. It's that easy. So it was a happy ending. Okay, so the first half of this talk, we talked about money. Okay, how to organize your money to maximize revenue growth. Okay, all right, but your business is a lot more than just money, right? So the second half of the talk, we're going to be talking about love. All right, how to organize your entire business to maximize growth. And we talked about money first because it is a subcomponent of the bigger conversation that we're about to have. And I want you to see how the money tree fits in to the bigger model. So you can see that at the end of the day, everything we're doing is rooted in love and money. Money, we implement strategies in accordance with cash flow. Lowest hanging fruit first. But then we also have love. And this is about making sure everybody our company touches feels loved. Specifically, we want our customers to feel loved. We want our team to feel loved. We want our prospects to feel loved. So I'm going to start by just telling a story, like I do. Okay, so I was backpacking across Africa a little while back, and I was sitting at a cafe watching a sunset, and I was sitting there with a friend of mine, and our conversation moved into lots of philosophical things as they tend to with me. But I remember at one point I said, I just want to win at life. And my friend, and he's African, he looks at me and he goes, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You are such an American." I said, "Yeah, you're right. I am guilty." He goes, "You guys are so ambitious, right? Are you trying to tell me some people lose at life?" And I kind of looked around and I said, "Well, honestly, kind of seems like, yeah, it does seem like some people lose." and so then I really started to think about it. I'm like, well, how do I even define what winning at life is? And the only real definition I could think of was Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. And I was like, okay, I guess self-actualization is like winning at life. I'm like, but what is self-actualization? What does this even look like? So many years I have chased money. I was using money as a measure for progress, but I was confusing money with success and success with purpose. Now, Viktor Frankl, he said, when people can't find a deeper sense of purpose, they distract themselves with pleasure. Now, more than pleasure, I desire purpose. And I think most people do. And when I really started to look at chasing the money, I started to realize that I was on a hamster wheel, right? Every time I had an annual meeting and we talked about how did we do this year? Oh, our revenue was up this much. But next year, it was like in the same breath, right? I mean, they asked Rockefeller, how much money's enough? And he said, just a little bit more. I was like, this is just a hamster wheel. And I started to figure out this money mindset trap that everyone's telling you, money mindset, money mindset. I'm like, this is such a trap because it's fleeting happiness followed by anxiety and depression, increased stimulus for decreased satisfaction. And this is just, I'm just running, right? I'm moving, but I'm not going anywhere, right? Now, don't get me wrong, money is great, right? I want for nothing, but it's a means to an end. What is that end, right? I know what you're probably thinking at this point. Is this guy talking about self-actualization in the middle of a business talk? Yes, I am. And I'm going to tell you how to self-actualize in 3 easy steps. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm serious. Okay, here's the 3 steps: perspective, passion, and purpose. Okay, so first of all, perspective. And I don't care what your belief systems are, when you look at quantum physics and sacred geometry, you understand that we are one energy field that is wildly intelligent and self-regulating, right? Even in chaos theory, a dripping faucet, right? There's mathematical order, right? The universe operates with infinite order, and it is conspiring for your success because you are part of it. So pay attention. Every closed door catapults you to an open door. If you look at everything as though it has a lesson to teach you, then everything will teach you a lesson. I mean, I go all the way down to like when I stub my toe, I'm like, what was I thinking about at that point? Like maybe the universe is trying to tell me something. Like that's how granular I am. Right? Now, because if you're looking for chaos, you will see chaos. But if you look for order, you will see order. The world is happening for you, not to you, as Tony Robbins says, right? So the first thing is perspective. Life's happening on purpose. Pay attention. Second, passion. When something inside of you, an interest, lines up with something outside of you, an opportunity, this is a sign of the way, right? Lining up something that's happening inside of you, that's happening on purpose, to something that's happening outside of you, that's happening on purpose. That's how you discover the way. And when you take this interest and you lean into it with a good attitude, you can foster a passion. Now, a passion is something that you love to do. It's inwardly focused, okay? But Marcus Aurelius, who's the emperor of Rome, he said, when you look at a flower, look at that flower in all of its unique beauty. And when you look at the universe, look at the majesty of it all and think, how does the one relate to the all. Pope Francis goes on to say, nothing in nature lives for itself. Rivers don't drink their own water. Trees don't eat their own fruit. The sun doesn't shine for itself. A flower's fragrance is not for itself. Living for each other is the rule of nature. So when you take that thing that you authentically love to do, your passion, and you use it to drive love into others, you discover your purpose. And this is how you self-actualize. Now, once I realized this, and I realized I was moving, but I wasn't growing in purpose, I realized the only way off of this hamster wheel is love. And I needed to grow through love. Now, what is love? Okay, that's a great question. Everyone has a different idea of love. So again, I'll tell you a story. I was walking in Paris near the red light district, and I was wearing a hat. I have this hat that says love across the top. And these ladies of the night, if you will, you know, they started hollering at me and they started saying, "We've got love for you. We've got love for you." And it struck me, oh my gosh, I should probably define what love is, because I think everybody thinks love is different things. So I realized I needed to do a case study. So I got a prostitute, and I'm kidding. I didn't get a prostitute. Could you imagine if that's where this story was going? Okay. No, but seriously, how do we define love? Okay, so I'm going to define love like this. I'm going to tell you a story of 3 sandwiches. The first sandwich you know about. This sandwich was not made with love. We've all eaten this sandwich. The second sandwich was made with love. We've all eaten this sandwich. Now let me tell you about a third sandwich. The third sandwich was made by somebody who their soul's truest artistic expression was making that sandwich and taking that sandwich to the world. That was every bit of authentic love they had inside of them. And this sandwich, you probably waited for an hour to get into that deli where that guy literally sourced every tomato, right? And he had 30,000 5-star reviews. That is authentic love. Think of the ramifications if every business owner was driving authentic love into the world. We would change the culture of the world. And a matter of fact, that's our mission at Growth Through Love, is to be a driving force for cultural reform. You see, Buckminster Fuller said, if you want to change reality, you can't resist the current reality. You have to create a new model that makes the old model irrelevant. So that's what we did. You see, the old model is chasing money, and purpose doesn't follow. The only thing that follows is a midlife crisis, a Corvette, and a feeling of unfulfilled potential. But if you chase purpose, love, money does follow in a very big way, because that deli owner, he's making bank. You see, it's not about making a charity. It's just about creating a business that proactively makes everyone it touches feel your authentic expression of love. It's just a better way to do business, but it's also the key to unlocking the team trifecta, which is organized, results-focused, and purpose-driven. Because now your team is focused on driving love into the world. Now you're probably thinking, I like the thought of using my business to drive love into the world, but what does that look like when theory meets reality? Well, when theory meets reality, it looks like this. This is our 3-pillar framework. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now, inside of these 3 pillars of love, you're going to see all 6 branches of the money tree. Okay. All of that revenues, all those revenue strategies are built into this. Okay. We're not ignoring money. Okay. It's called love and money. All right. We need both. All right. Pillar number 1, customer. Drive love into our customers creates higher per customer value. Number 2, drive love into our team creates more productive employees. And pillar 3, drive love into our prospects creates more new customers. Okay. Now, let me just give you a quick, I'm just gonna kind of briefly go over this, but instead of just going over this, I prefer to just tell you a story. You know, I'm more of a storyteller than a speaker. Okay, so one time I was running a company and we were so focused on pillar 1, right? We were so focused on building our production teams overseas. And let me tell you, we crushed it. We built an overseas production team. We brought our cost of goods sold down by 44%. We were so excited, but we were ignoring pillar 3. We weren't looking at the sales forecast. We just figured the sales team had it, and they didn't. Okay. We ended up having to close down the production facility that we spent all that time making. Okay. And vice versa. I can't tell you how many clients come in and they say, we want to grow our revenue. Help us with pillar 3, sales and marketing. So then we drive that. Right. And then they're like, oh my gosh, our production can't keep up. Holy crap. We're starting to get bad reviews. And so then we start investing in pillar 1 again, the customer and the product, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, our overhead is so heavy. We need more sales and marketing. And we frantically run back and forth, and it is so annoying. Okay, so the lesson here is resource balancing. We have to look at all 3 of these areas of the business. We can't ignore any of them. All boats rise together. Okay. Now, inside of each area, there are 4 categories of strategies inside of each area. And I'm not going to break down this whole thing for you right now. It's not as important that we go over you know, every single detail of this, right? I'm really just want you to learn to take away the lessons. Okay. The lesson was resource balancing between your pillars. Okay. Now, the reason I just expanded that is because the next lesson has everything to do with operating inside of 1 pillar. Okay. So one time I was working with a business owner. They were a marketing agency. I said, okay, what are you focused on right now? And they said, we're working on rebranding our logos and our content, and we're doing social media. We're building a social media following, and we're also redoing our website, and we're also working on search engine optimization and content creation and blogging. And I look at them now. I want you to look at this. Okay, they were working, everything in their entire business was working on 1 category inside of 1 pillar. All 4 or 5 of the things that they were working on as a company was 1 little piece of this whole pie. And I'm listening to them. I'm like, okay. And I'm seeing the bird's eye view, and I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm like, and so then I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do less website development and social media. We're just going to leave it. It's just going to be a version 1. We're not going to not do it, but we're just going to do far less of it. We're going to put far less pressure. And what we're going to do instead is we're going to move over to pillar 1. We're going to go down to product development, and we developed a loss leader product. Okay. And then we also did product innovation, and we turned some one-time sales items into monthly reoccurring revenue items. Right. And then we also worked on our customer experience, increasing retention and reviews and referrals. Right. And then we went over to pillar 1. Right. And we went from branding down here up to sales. right? We started going to trade shows and giving away our loss leader, which was getting people in the door to take our monthly reoccurring revenue product, right? And we were able to increase annual revenue by 302%. All right. Now, the lesson here is that you can't just do a SWOT analysis. What are our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats, right? Because what you end up with is either bottom down or top up management. Strategic people that are missing tactical level issues, or tactical level people that have no idea how to make strategic decisions, right? Because as Joe Dispenza says, your judgment is a prison of your experience, right? And when you make the wrong analysis, you set the wrong goals and you send your company in the wrong direction because you're not looking at the whole playing field, right? Just like that company that I worked with, they were just looking at this because that's all they knew. And I said, let's look up. Let's look over here. Let's look over here. Let's look over here. Let's look over here. Let's pivot. This is resource allocation, pivoting, pull up, focus, 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 focus. But you've got to see the whole playing field. Okay, now this playing field is not just like a cute little thing, okay? Albert Einstein said, make things as simple as possible, but no simpler, okay? I put my entire career's worth of blood and tears into every single one of these items on here, okay? Every single one is necessary. I have had vendors steal $1 million clients from me. I've had investors do hostile takeovers. I've had partners embezzle money. I've experienced the bus factor. Do you know what the bus factor is? That's when too much of your company's competence lies inside of one key employee's head and he gets hit by a bus. Yeah, I've literally failed in every single way, but it's not failing, it's learning, right? I've had markets collapse underneath of my product because I wasn't watching the market conditions, right? Every single one of these items is absolutely vital, okay? But this is just playing the game, all right? Or I'm sorry, this is just the playing field. Now we have to play the game. So what does the playing the game look like? Well, it's simple. We analyze, we goal set, we surgically execute, we measure results. That's the game, okay? This is the playing field, all right? So what I want to do real quick is I just want you to do me a quick favor, all right? I want you to remember 3 things for me, all right? Number 1, in an hour, take out the trash, but separate the recycling. Tomorrow morning, don't put pickles on Susie's sandwich. And 3, tomorrow afternoon, pick up your dry cleaning, but the dry cleaner at Maple Street, on Maple Street, okay? Remember those 3 things? Kind of. Sit with it for a second. I just want you to feel that weight of trying to remember these 3 things. Take that weight times 100. That is the entrepreneur's mind. That is the literal state of overwhelm, okay? Organization is not just out here. It's also in here. Remember when I told you the number 1 missing ingredient that big companies have, that little ones don't? It's the difference between an entrepreneur and a CEO. You see, an entrepreneur is holding everything up in their head and they're incredibly overwhelmed, trying to do everything and remember everything and wasting a lot of time doing the wrong things and missing a lot of details because your mind wasn't designed to do this, right? As opposed to the CEO. The CEO, he doesn't do that at all. The CEO doesn't hold it all up here. All of his ideas and strategies live nicely organized and prioritized in their management system. It's a structured framework to help them manage their company, keeping it organized and focused on the right things in the right order. So what does that look like? Well, welcome to the home base. It's very simple, all right? this is what we're going to give you, right? Notice, just like I said, we analyze, we goal set, we execute, we measure results. All right. And that's as simple as it is. We don't have to make it any more simple, right? This is a place where all your ideas can live and you and your team can collaborate effectively. This is what we're working on now. This is our first priority. Second priority, this is our backlog, maybe someday, just ideas, right? If you're not excited about organizing your business, you should be excited about organizing your brain, okay? In this workshop, this is how it goes. Number one, we're just gonna brain dump. We're gonna get everything out of your brain and we're just gonna put it into your simple home base, right? And we're gonna categorize it all into that grid that I showed you. And then what we're gonna be able to notice is what parts of this playing field are you ignoring? What are you doing too much of and what are you not doing enough of? And then we're going to start doing financial modeling, like I showed you earlier. And we're going to run 2-year cash flow projections on every possible strategy. So we can figure out this is the lowest hanging fruit, fastest cash. This is second fastest cash, third and fourth. This will pay for this, will pay for this, will pay for this. And then we're going to build it all into a nice, simple management system, right? Business plans sit on the shelf. A management system is living and breathing, okay? Now, the best example of this is the 80-20 principle. So the 80-20 principle states that 80% of your momentum comes from 20% of your activity. So as a CEO, your job isn't to try to do a million things. Your job is to identify the number one constraining point, fix it, rinse and repeat. And the way we do that surgically is we look at all 3 pillars and we say, which pillar is the number one constraining point? Pillar 1, okay? Which of these 4 areas in pillar 1 is the number one constraining point? Number 4, perfect. Let's create a strategy to solve this problem, tactically execute. Boom, there's our one thing. So we're always surgically focused on our one thing. One thing. What's the one thing that if we did it would make everything else easier? And we attack it with everything we have, right? This is how we become effective and not busy, okay? And of course, when you walk away, you're not just gonna have this home base, we're gonna give you a clear meeting agendas and schedules for exactly how to run it and execute surgically. Okay, we'll tell you exactly how to run the meetings. The meetings are this simple. Status, did you do what you committed to getting done in the last sprint? Action items, what are you committing to getting done in the next sprint? Right? You look at all your goals every 2 weeks. You look at all your goals, you look at your wins, you look at your issues, your fires, you create a sprint, and you and your team go and run the sprint. 2 weeks later, status, done, beautiful. Action items, going to do, beautiful, right? And this takes small business overwhelm away, frankly. But you got to understand, small business overwhelm doesn't go away on its own. You will remain in that state until you implement a management system, right? Because the solution to overwhelm is organization, right? Now, this management system might not be right for you. There's a lot of them out there. This one is only right for people who want to put love at the center of their organization, okay? And if you're thinking, I don't have time for another thing, let me tell you a story. When I go into a week and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in complete overwhelm, I sacrifice Monday. I will literally just sit all day Monday, cleaning my brain dump, organizing my days, because I know that 4 days surgically executing are better than 5 days in a tornado, okay? This is the lead domino to business growth, because the more organized you are, the more effective your execution, the more effective your execution, the faster your growth. But honestly, let's put this in perspective. 100% of the funds for this workshop are going to fight child sex trafficking and other agendas for basic human rights, right? We're not taking a dime, right? So when you look back at your year, I can already tell you what your top 3 wins for the year are going to be. Number 3 is going to be implementing this management system and getting organized. Number 2 is going to be the number of growth, the amount of growth that your company had. And number 1 is going to be the children that you helped us save, right? Because I know you, just like me, desire purpose more than pleasure. I'm excited to meet you. I'm excited to serve you. I'm excited to show you how my vision can support your vision. And together, we can take your authentic expression of love to the world as we grow through love.